Hi, this is Daniel Pinchbeck. I'm here for New York Native with J.J. Roberts, the author of Sex 3.0. And thanks for joining us today on New York Native. So how would you define your, what do you tell people that you do in the world?
My job? Yeah. Sexual revolutionary.
Okay. We're talking about the imperatives, the two imperatives for women and the one imperative for men.
Yeah. In Sex 1.0, the hunter-gatherer era, which is like 97% of human existence, we actually only had one each.
Yeah. So the men have one imperative, but the women have two imperatives.
In Sex 1.0, women only had one, which is obviously the sexual imperative is simply the most efficient genetic survival reproduction strategy. So women can't have lots of babies can't have 10 babies by fucking 10 men. They can still only have one baby a year.
Okay.
So that imperative doesn't work for them. Their imperative is to get the best genetic material possible, the need for the alpha male, the strong dominant male, the protector, the one that's going to protect them from, perhaps other violent men, violent animals, rape, that kind of thing. So strength, dominance, the need for the alpha male is women's primary imperative in Sex 1.0. And they still have this in Sex 2.0. But once you invented the concept of property and you moved to 2.0, women added a second imperative, which is the need for the provider male. But in the move from 1.0 to 2.0, our one and only imperative remained the same.
And what do you see in Sex 3.0? How are you clearing up this mess?
All right, essentially during 1.0, human sexuality operated on one plane, or dimension if you prefer, defined by the word natural. And as this is 97% of human history, this is how we're hormonally encoded, our DNA pheromonally encoded. And this is all we had for all of human existence up until about 10,000 years ago. When we went through the agricultural revolution and we moved to 2.0, we added the second dimension of human sexuality defined by the word normal. Now, what is normal is defined by society and it's not defined by nature, whereas what is natural is defined by nature and it's not defined by society. So in other words, this is a bunch of biological imperatives given to us by nature, and this is a bunch of social imperatives given to us by society.
What about the fenced and the unfenced?
Okay, well, I mean, I say that essentially there are only two kinds of sexual relationship, and called fenced and unfenced. Fenced being based on mutually agreed sexual exclusivity, like conventional boyfriend-girlfriend or husband-wife relationships. And unfenced just meaning, it doesn't mean you're having sex with lots of people, it just means there's no fence. In other words, there's no guaranteed notion of sexual exclusivity. So if you're in an unfenced relationship, you would always have the option, and whether you choose to exercise the option or not would be up to you. And these two kinds of relationships are synonymous with the two planes of sexuality. Normal, of course, fenced. Natural, unfenced.
Now, what are the three characteristics, the main three characteristics of Sex 3.0? So Sex 2.0 you said was fear, deception, and control.
Yes.
So when you make the transition to Sex 3.0, what are kind of like the corollary principles?
3.0 also has three things at the core of its design. The first one, I already mentioned, self-determination. You're offered the choice of fenced or unfenced, and you're told there is no correct choice, there's just the choice that's right for you. Whereas 2.0, you're only offered fenced, and you're told if you step outside of that, you're doing something terribly wrong and wicked, and you're stigmatized and demonized. So the first part of the Sex 3.0 core design is self-determination. The second one is honesty. So in the 3.0 model, honesty replaces deception, and self-determination replaces control. So essentially we get to stop lying to ourselves and to each other, and first of all we get to stop pretending that Sex 2.0 is such a great design. It's a low performance framework for relationships with a high failure rate. The evidence is all around you and you only have to open your eyes. So self-determination, honesty. Those are the first two. And the third one, love, replaces fear. So the third one is love. Now, I'm not saying that under 2.0 there weren't loving relationships. Of course they were. I mean, this is the most natural human emotion of all. But 2.0 as a framework is designed for fear-based love. This is a fundamentally dysfunctional design because one suffocates the other.
Well, listen, thank you very much. This is Daniel Pinchbeck for New York Native. We've been talking about normal, fenced, natural, unfenced relationships and the future of human sexuality with J.J. Roberts, our visiting expert. Thanks very much for spending some time with us.
Thanks, Daniel.
Yeah.